Han Li stood above the pond, his gaze sharp as he observed the scattered lotus flowers below, which, though seeming haphazard, formed a hidden array. With a flick of his infernal devilish eye, he saw their true arrangement in greater detail. A small smile tugged at his lips as he summoned the essence fire raven. With a swift motion, the silver flames ignited the lotus pads, turning them to ash. Yet, despite the fire's devastation, the dense mist lingered and the lotus flowers remained. The fire raven returned to his shoulder, its perplexed gaze following Han Li, puzzled by the incomplete task. Moments later, green specks appeared, followed by buds sprouting, growing rapidly as the pond regained its former lotus-filled appearance. Han Li, unfazed, commanded the raven to remain still. With a decisive movement, Han Li flew across the pond, drawing out a blue lotus flower, its roots glowing with blue light. As the flower emerged, all the other pink lotuses began to wither. Their vitality drained, though the pads stood firm. The mist began to clear, and Han Li, his expression serene, observed the water law power emanating from the blue lotus. With a subtle motion, he created a silver portal and stepped into the flower branch domain. There, he planted the blue lotus and its connected pink lotus in a pond, where they quickly took root. Six new pink lotuses blossomed, releasing mist into the air, enhancing the spiritual chi of the domain. Mo Guang, deep in meditation, sensed the shift, though he paid it little mind. Taoist Xie, standing in the spirit garden, noted the changes with surprise. Han Li, his robes flapping in the breeze, nodded in satisfaction. The new lotus arrangement would enhance the spiritual flow, significantly reducing the energy drain from the immortal origin stones. With his task completed, Han Li turned and flew onward, leaving the domain's growth in his wake. Meanwhile, in the ruins of the True Mantra sect, an intense battle unfolded at the Flowing Fire Palace. Yanxian, city lord of Illusory Smoke City, clashed with a hunchbacked elderly man, his sickly yellow complexion contrasting with her violet dress. She conjured smoky maidens with a strum of her jade lute, their curved blades striking at the man, but he easily dodged. His superior cultivation allowed him to mock her, his eyes lingering on her figure. The man, disguised in a robe change order, shed his robes to reveal a handsome white-robed youth, his true form now revealed. He taunted her, declaring his intentions to keep her as a trophy, cutting off her limbs and senses. Yanxian, desperate, strummed her lute, sending a purple bat-shaped pillar of light toward the man. The bat screeched through the air, its sound waves ready to strike. The white-robed youth faced the relentless attacks with a serene smile, summoning a flurry of incantations that formed a protective array of rotating light discs around him. The violet bat's sonic assault clashed with the energy barrier, though his white robe began to show visible damage. The ruins of the palace trembled under the force, crumbling into dust, and the youth's robes tore further, though he stood his ground. As the bat neared, intent on striking, he summoned a grand metal fan adorned with intricate runes. The fan expanded with a mighty clang, and from it sprang forth a creature, its yellow fur glistening. With a terrifying roar, it unleashed a fierce tornado of yellow sand that engulfed the bat, reducing it to dust. Meanwhile, Yanxian, overwhelmed by the onslaught, was hurled through the gates of the Flowing Fire Palace by the storm, leaving the youth to regret his forceful actions. However, her panic was far from over. As she fled, an unsettling buzzing filled the air, and she was soon covered in dark red flame-wreathed insects that drained her vitality. As she writhed in agony, her youthful appearance began to age rapidly. In horror, the white-robed youth realized these were Fire Age fireflies, ancient insects capable of burning through vitality with their time-infused flames. Before he could escape, a massive figure descended from the heavens. The fiery Qi-Rong, exuding a late high zenith aura, stepped forward, dismissing the white-robed youth's presence with a sneer. As Qi-Rong played a dark red flute, the fireflies swarmed the youth, devouring him alive. As the buzzing intensified, Qi-Rong paid no heed to his torment, but instead turned his attention to the strange statue of a foreign race being, bowing before it in reverence. Meanwhile, half a month later, Han Li, disguised and traveling on his green jade flying carriage, arrived at a strange bridge. The structure had been snapped in half by a vast spatial rift that stretched into nothingness. The surrounding area was a wasteland of collapsed ruins and uprooted trees, bearing the scars of the rift's devastating power. Han paused before the rift, an unshakable fear creeping into his heart as he sensed the overwhelming force within. Han steps faltered as the bridge beneath him trembled, and the terrifying surge of spatial fluctuations from the dark rift behind him tore through the air. As he tried to move forward, the bridge was slowly consumed, its edge vanishing into the vast unknown. Acting swiftly, Han darted to the stone lions for cover just as the rift stabilized. Though the ominous feeling lingered, could the ruins still be unraveling spatially? Caution was now paramount. Without warning, an immense vortex erupted from the earth beneath one of the stone lions, rapidly expanding and sucking in everything around it. Han channeled his mantra-treasured axis, but was trapped by the force. Unable to escape, his body was soon surrounded by a protective aura of golden scales and dark green armor, but the suction intensified, pulling him into the dark abyss with the stone lion. In the blink of an eye, Han found himself in a shadowy, black space. The stone lion that fell with him was instantly reduced to dust by a violent gray whirlwind. Han summoned his profound heavenly gourd and azure bamboo cloud swarm swords, preparing for the unknown, while his infernal devilish eyes scanned the unstable surroundings. The area was a chaotic vortex of fluctuating spatial rifts, with floating landmasses teetering precariously, some breaking apart under the immense pressure. Suddenly, a spatial storm, deafening and terrifying, swept toward him. Han, realizing the gravity of his situation, cast his gaze toward the nearest stable landmass, hoping to escape the impending doom. He channeled his reversal true axis, propelling himself toward the landmass. The storm grew exponentially, its force warping space itself as it sucked in the surrounding rifts. As Han neared the landmass, a brilliant explosion of white light erupted from the spatial storm, sending waves of spatial blades in all directions. He pushed forward with all his might, but a sudden impact sent him crashing into an invisible spatial barrier, throwing him back. With no time to lose, he summoned the profound heavenly gourd, using it to suck in a deadly spatial blade that was barreling toward him. The gourd trembled violently, its heat surging, but Han pressed forward, sending the blade into the barrier, creating a rift in the space. Seizing the opportunity, he shot through the gap, hurtling towards safety. Finally, after plummeting through a mountain, Han found himself in an unfamiliar land, his heart racing with the aftermath of his near-death encounter. He took a moment to meditate, his aura calming as the danger receded. Rising to his feet, he surveyed the strange, rocky terrain, wondering if he was still within the true Mantra sect ruins. The journey ahead was unclear, but he had survived the first trial of this perilous realm. As Han emerged from the forest, his gaze swept over the open area, his steps leading him to a rocky forest, the air heavy with an ancient, untouched aura. At the center, a massive stone platform riddled with cracks and overgrown with moss stood as a silent witness to forgotten times. Rising 1,000 feet into the air, it emanated a faint power, hinting at its profound origin. His heart stirred with familiarity. This was the very site where Patriarch Miro had once lectured through the translucent wall of light, a place that had allowed Han to unlock 8 immortal acupoints. With resolve, Han leapt, landing on the platform. The structure pulsed with old energy, the moss-covered stone plaque revealing the words Mantra Domain beneath the vines. Upon close inspection, Han memories sparked. This was the place where he had once glimpsed the Patriarch's wisdom. Drawn by fate, Han prepared to reconnect with those profound insights. He activated the mantra treasured axis, a surge of golden light enveloping the platform, bringing forth spectral images of the past. His eyes locked onto the yellow-robed figure of Mu Yan, followed by the large-headed child from the Water Divination Palace. Finally, his gaze fell on Patriarch Miro, seated in meditative poise, expounding the deep wisdom of the mantra domain. As the 5 colored runes emerged from the Patriarch's mouth, Han marveled at the beauty of the spectacle, though aware that this was only a projection, not a living event. Yet, the questions of the Time Dao ancestors' power lingered in his mind, overshadowing the wonder. As the vision continued, Mu Yan interrupted with a question, and Patriarch Miro responded, his words resonating with his disciples. Suddenly, the mood shifted. Patriarch Miro paused, his expression surprised as his disciples and Mu Yan looked toward an unknown direction. Han turned but saw nothing. A small green rat appeared, drawing attention as it sat beside the patriarch, uninvited yet unchased. It brought a wry smile to Hanli's face as he recalled his earlier eavesdropping. The lecture ended, and Hanli sensed a fleeting connection, as if Patriarch Miro had acknowledged his presence through the eye of truth. After the disciples and the rat departed, the patriarch remained in silence before rising to approach the stone plaque, his actions deliberate and full of meaning. A golden light shot forth from his fingertip, vanishing into the inscribed characters. Patriarch Miro blurred, his form merging with the heavens, leaving Hanli with a deep sense of solitude. After the vision dissipated, Hanli approached the plaque, clearing the vines with a sweep of his hand. His infernal devilish eyes pierced through, revealing a golden glow on one character. He reached into the stone, pulling out an azure bamboo slip containing the secrets of the mantra, Axis scripture, and the enigmatic Sumeru insights. Though the scripture was familiar, Hanli found the Sumeru text incomprehensible. With a deep bow toward the long-gone figure of Patriarch Miro, Hanli departed, his heart heavy with the knowledge that fate had guided him to this ancient place, where secrets of unimaginable power awaited his discovery. In the vast valley, Hanli arrived at a grand scene, a golden palace, towering several thousand feet. The air pulsed with time law fluctuations as beams of golden light pierced through battle-scarred walls. His eyes glimmered with excitement as he approached, only to find the door yielding under his touch, unleashing a burst of blinding golden light. Entering, Hanli was immobilized by the profound time law power within, observing countless frozen cultivators locked in combat, trapped for eons by the palace's mysterious force. His attempts to break free failed, but his mastery of time laws allowed him to slowly regain control, channeling his immortal spiritual power and reversing time's flow within his body. After a lengthy struggle, Hanli managed to move again, cautiously searching the palace. Among the still forms of the cultivators, he gathered treasures, but his true interest lay in understanding the source of this time-stopping force. At the center of the palace stood a collapsed altar, with a bottomless hole revealing a ball of radiant golden light. As Hanli approached, the time law fluctuations intensified, slowing his every step, but he pressed on. After a long struggle, he reached the altar, where the golden light's origin became clear. It was the residual power from a devastating attack that had halted time in the palace. A golden finger projection, formed from time law threads, emanated from the hole, and Hanli, awestruck by its power, realized that his own grasp of time laws paled in comparison to this monumental force, possibly the work of the Time Dao ancestor himself.